Hello and welcome. Gearing up for your big persuasive speech can feel, well, like a huge challenge, but you are definitely in the right place. In this quick explainer, we're going to break down everything you need to know about speech number 3 and turn it into a clear, totally manageable plan. I know big assignments like this can sometimes feel a little overwhelming, but don't you worry, we're going to walk through this whole thing together step by step, and by the end, you'll have a solid roadmap to craft a really compelling and successful speech. So, first things first, let's get right to the heart of the assignment. Before you write a single word, you have to understand the fundamental purpose of this speech. What are you actually trying to achieve here? At its absolute core, your mission is simple: to persuade. That means you're trying to get your audience to either think differently about a topic or, even more powerfully, to act on what you've said. It's all about influence. And you've got a very specific window to make your case, just 5 to 7 minutes. Now that's long enough to build a solid argument, but it's also short enough that every single second has to count. So practicing your timing is going to be absolutely key. So how do you structure a speech to be as persuasive as possible in that short time frame? Well, luckily, there's a proven formula. You're going to be using a really powerful 5-step blueprint called the motivated sequence. Think of it as your guide to building the perfect argument, mainly because it's designed to follow how people naturally process new ideas and, make decisions. And here they are. The 5 steps: attention, need, satisfaction, visualization, and action. You can almost see the logic, right? You grab their interest, you establish a problem, you offer a solution, help them picture the outcome, and then finally, you tell them what to do. Let's break each one down just a little bit more. Okay, step 1 is all about the hook. Your first 30 seconds are critical. You could use a surprising statistic, a really compelling story, or a provocative question. Whatever you choose, its one job is to make everyone in that room stop whatever they're thinking and focus completely on you. Once you've got their attention, you have to make them care, and that is the need step. Here, you'll use evidence, examples, maybe some testimony to prove that a real problem exists. You have to establish that urgency and relevance. Why should this matter to them right now? All right, you've laid out a problem. Now what? Well, the satisfaction step is where you get to be the hero. You present your solution. This is your big idea, your plan, your proposal. You need to explain it clearly and show exactly how it's going to solve the problem you just outlined. This next step is incredibly powerful. See, it's not enough to just state your solution. You have to make the audience feel it. Use really vivid language to paint a picture of 2 possible futures. One where your solution is adopted and one where the problem just keeps going. You want to make that outcome tangible. And finally, the action step. This is your closing argument and your call to arms. You've done all the hard work, and now you have to be direct. Don't be vague about it. Tell your audience exactly what you want them to do. Should they sign a petition? Donate? Maybe make a specific change in their daily life. Be specific and make it easy for them to take that next step. All right, so you've got the blueprint. Now let's cover some of the non-negotiable rules for this assignment. Knowing these key requirements right up front is going to save you a ton of headaches later on. First up is topic selection, and there are some really clear guardrails here. The assignment asks you to avoid topics that are highly polarizing. Now, this isn't to limit your creativity, it's to make sure the focus stays on the skill of persuasion rather than on these deeply entrenched beliefs. The goal is to practice building an argument, not to win some heated debate. So just steer clear of these areas when you're brainstorming. Next, let's talk about something that is absolutely crucial for your grade and, honestly, your credibility: your sources. This is one of the most important and often misunderstood parts of the assignment, so let's make sure we get this right. So it's really critical to understand the 2 types of sources you can use. On the left, we've got scholarly sources. We're talking peer-reviewed journal articles, professional journals. These are required. Then on the right, you have other credible sources like websites and textbooks. And while you can, and you probably should, use these, they do not count toward your mandatory scholarly source requirement. And that's a key distinction. So what is that mandatory requirement? The number you have to remember is 2. You must find, use, and cite a minimum of 2 scholarly publications from that first column we just saw to support your speech. And citing these sources, it's a 2-step process. First, you have to cite them verbally during your speech, saying something like, according to a 2021 study in the Journal of Applied Psychology. Second, you also have to list them in proper APA format on your references page. You got to do both.
Now that we've covered the rules, let's talk about the tools you've been given to succeed. Think of the other documents in your packet not as more rules, but as your own personal toolkit for building a great presentation.
First up is the outline template. And notice how it's structured? It perfectly maps to the motivated sequence. The introduction is your attention step. The body contains the need, satisfaction, and visualization steps. And the conclusion? Well, that's where your action step lives. Use this template. Seriously, it's designed to keep you on track. If you want to know exactly what your instructor and your peers are going to be looking for, the evaluation form is your best friend. For example, you can see right here that a key criterion is a clear and well-developed thesis. So use this form as a checklist to make sure you're focusing your energy on what really matters.
The same thing goes for your visual aid. The key question isn't just, do you have one? It's, does it provide valuable information? Think of it as a partner to your words. It should be there to clarify a complex point or make your data more impactful, not just to serve as pretty decoration.
And here's a simple but invaluable piece of advice. Always, always have a backup. Technology can fail at the worst possible moment, so don't let a tech glitch derail your whole speech. Save your presentation on a flash drive, upload it to a cloud service like Google Drive, and email it to yourself. That way, you're covered no matter what happens.
Speaking of technology, just remember that you have options. PowerPoint is a classic for a reason, but if you want something maybe a little more dynamic, you can explore online tools like Prezi. The choice is totally yours. Just pick the tool that you feel most comfortable with and that best serves your message.
So there you have it, the goal, the blueprint, the rules, and the tools. You have the entire framework you need for crafting a truly persuasive speech. The only thing missing now is your idea. So the final question is, what message are you passionate about sharing with the world?